Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, welcome back to the channel. It's a new week, Monday, March 25th. We got another 4-game slate like we did yesterday. And I'm excited. I'm actually excited for today. I looked at the slate last night in depth. I did all of my research last night in depth. And I think this is a very good slate. I think that there's some key decisions that are already pretty evident, and I want to walk you through them if you haven't looked yet. I want to help you through them if you already have looked. If this is your first time to the channel, my name is Sal. I cover daily fantasy sports in the NFL, what is right now the NBA, and what is, in a few days, the MLB streets. I'm pretty excited. I'm going home Wednesday night. I'll be there for a few days, have to do doctor's appointments. I'll get to see the family, get to watch opening day with the Pops, like when I was younger. I like that I used to miss school, things like that. So this is exciting. Very excited for the baseball content to start rolling out. We'll have that content aiming for Thursday, opening day. So I'm looking forward to it. Before we break down into this, I'd appreciate it if you can hit me with a like button. It helps me out a ton. This channel is growing. And if we get to 3,500 subscribers today, which would be a pretty steep goal, another 100, I'll post the projections for free today. I'll do a little tweet on Twitter, and then I'll put them in free in the Discord if we get to 3,500. So for every single like that we get, it helps new people see the channel, potentially new subscribers to get to that goal. Comment down below. I want to ask a question every single day. Comment down below let's do this one actually. Who do you think will be the best point per dollar center on the slate tonight? There's a lot of centers. We're going to talk about it. The position is deep on the high end as well as the low end. So who do you think will be the best point per dollar center? That's pretty much the best value center. For a $5 PayPal, why not win $5? We've had a couple of people win already. So let me know down below, and you could hop into the Discord here if you want. If you're new here and you're not used to this, this is the Discord, totally free, just different chat channels for all different sports. We have the MLB already, golf, lineup reviews for YouTube that I'm going to be doing some more of, the NBA right here, MLB, NFL, bunch of stuff. Get in there. They're free. There's some paid channels if you're a Patreon, which if you want to become a Patreon, if you want to help support me, you can go down below. You can donate, or you could become a Patreon. You'll get my projections for the NBA. I personally use them. NBA is the most projectable sport in terms of how close it is to that projection and how often that projection will be accurate. Probably factors into about 50% of my equation when making lineups. So definitely check that out. It's there. The projections are done for you. I use them. I've been using them all season and having some success. So let's hop into it without further ado. Finally, hit me with that likes up button. And I already see one thing that I got to change. This man's name should be Josh. All right. So there's not a ton of injury news, and maybe I missed something, but I don't think I did. Unless somebody got hurt. And no, there was no back-to-backs. I believe no teams on a back-to-back. So yeah, I don't think I missed anything in terms of Fantasy Labs feed. Starting with Phoenix, and we could put this like we always do when I forget to do this. We could just put this in alphabetical order by the team, so maybe we will not be starting with Phoenix. Probably be starting with Brooklyn. So starting with Brooklyn, Brooklyn is battling. They're 2.5 games up on the 8th seed. They're tied for the 6th seed, but everybody in that division is nothing set in stone in that conference. You have the Magic at 9, and you have Charlotte, who keeps winning now with the Jeremy Lamb more than half-court buzzer beater. That was insane. If you haven't watched that buzzer beater yet, go watch that buzzer beater. That was nuts. Those two teams are still sticking around, so Brooklyn needs to win. Allen Crabbe is out today. It's going to affect Karis LeVert, whose minutes are all over the place. Was seeing high 20s, now seeing low 20s. DeMarre Carroll, whose minutes are all over the place, either seeing 30-plus minutes or seeing 20 minutes. Hard to really project him. And same thing for Joe Harris. If you're not a big piece of this offense, which pretty much means are you Spencer Dinwiddie or are you D'Angelo Russell, your minutes are not locked in on this team at the position, so it's really tough to project minutes. Joe Harris would also be affected. For Memphis, Joakim Noah is doubtful. We've seen now back-to-back or 3 games in a row with Joe Val scoring pretty much 50-plus points. He's been going berserk when he gets 30-plus minutes, staying out of foul trouble. Now he's going to go up against Steven Adams, which is a tough matchup, but based on the pace, this is a massive, and we'll talk about a pace-up spot for Memphis. Memphis, one of the slowest-paced teams in the league. OKC's playing the fastest pace since the start of February. There's just going to be way more usage for a guy like Jonas Valanciunas, and that's really the only guy who's going to get affected here. I mean, Ivan Robb really, even with Noah out in the last game, his minutes don't come up. So Joe Val is in a great spot here today. Avery Bradley remains out. Just a reminder that he does remain out. It's going to affect DeLon Wright, who will continue to start at the 2, as well as Tyler Dorsey, who I imagine sees 25. I think I have him in for 26 minutes today. James Ennis is questionable today. I put this in as no real effect on anybody. We can kind of move on. Don't really care about James Ennis. Tyler Johnson is out once again. I believe this is his 5th missed start. Devin Booker should continue to see more point guard minutes, as well as Anthony Melton maybe starting at the point, seeing 21 to 22 minutes a game the last 3 games. And then Eli Okabu. So this is going to depend on a lot, and it's going to depend on the next guy. So Josh Jackson's going to make a lot of things in this rotation be a little bit interesting. So Mikal Bridges will be affected by Josh Jackson if he's out again, as well as Dragon Bender. But we saw in the last game when people were expecting, including myself, Jimmer Fredette, to see a lot of time. He saw 4 minutes. Jamal Crawford got a DNP, didn't even play. And then we saw Troy Daniels get like 26 minutes, get some more minutes. And then we saw out of nowhere Eli Okabu, who was out of the G League a week ago, was seeing 2 minutes a game before that, or no minutes at all. He got 20 minutes, so wasn't expecting that. So if Josh Jackson's out, it's going to affect Eli Okabu. You would imagine that continues. I should also put in here that it'll affect Troy Daniels, who's seeing, 25 minutes or over 25 minutes, I believe, in the last game when Josh Jackson was out. So definitely keep an eye on all that. Rashawn Holmes will also get a little bit of a bump. Instead of having 16, 17 minutes, he'll go up to maybe around 20 with Josh Jackson out. TJ Warren remains out. He's been out all year, or not all year, but for, 40 games now. Maybe it's only like 30. But I don't know why he's even on the injury report. They should probably just can make him done for the year. But it's going to affect Josh Jackson if he plays, Mikal Bridges, Bender. And then obviously if Josh Jackson doesn't play, you know what to do right above that. CJ McCollum will remain out. It's going to affect Damian Lillard, who sees a usage rate of 1.55 points per minute when McCollum's off the floor. It's going to affect Rodney Hood. It'll also affect, and I should have put this in here, probably who I'm not sure what it looks like right now. It's 8 a.m. in the morning Eastern time. It's probably going to affect Seth Curry, who's been seeing the last 3 games stable minutes in the upper 20s to the low 30s. So that's where all the injury news is for today. It's pretty straightforward. Right now, we're really just waiting on Josh Jackson, as James Ennis doesn't really matter much. Obviously, things will change throughout the day. Joakim Noah doubtful. We expect him to miss. So keep up with all that during the day. Let's move on to the target offense sheet. Before we do, hit me with a thumbs up. Greatly appreciate it. Make sure if you are not right now to pause the video, hit the thumbs up, hit the notification bell if you are subscribed so you know when I drop these videos, and get into the Discord. There's a link down below. Somebody just posted out. Here we go. Green Ninja Mark just posted the free contest. We should do more with this free contest. Now that I'm on camera seeing it, there is 100 spots for a free contest for Draftkings. There's a link to our Draftkings league down below. You could join it through that, or you can come into the Discord and join it. It's $0 to enter. It's just for fun. It's to kind of have just bragging rights. But every once in a while, and now that I'm seeing this, screw it. Whoever wins first place in this can challenge me head-to-head, one-on-one. And we'll kind of just do like a little listeners league, sort of like the Daily Fantasy Edge does. So right now, if you're watching this, hop in there. First place, I've done free projections in the past. You can challenge me head-to-head. And then if you beat me head-to-head, you'll get free projections for a week or something. So do that. Let's do that. That sounds fun. If you're still watching, drop down below. Get into this tournament. 100 spots. Let's see who could win the whole damn thing. That's cool. That's really cool. I like that. And then check out Patreon as well. So, target offense sheet. Did this last night. Updated it today with all the new. I update this every single day with all the freshest paces in the league. All the freshest rebounding efficiencies and all that type of stuff. And as well as defense versus position. So we got 8 teams on this slate. 4 games today. Nothing stands out insanely like we had yesterday with the Lakers in Sacramento, 109 pace. Paces, there's possessions per game for people that are new here. The more possessions, and this is per team, so that first one is 102.09 per team. Anybody that's new here, more possessions in a game just means more opportunities to get rebounds, or somebody's going to be getting rebounds, scoring, assists, double-double, triple-double outside. So I like to look at pace and kind of base my games on that. On a 4-game slate, a lot of things come into play. I never really factor blowouts in. We just saw 15.5-point favorites 2 nights ago. Golden State get rocked by 20-plus points by the Mavs. But it is important to note that Phoenix and Utah is a 15-point spread, by far the largest on the slate. Phoenix, if there's no Josh Jackson, it's Devin Booker in terms of shooters, and that's it. Mikal Bridges is not a lights-out shooter. DeAndre Ayton is a good basketball player in his own right, but he's not carrying this team to anything. So it's very scary, and it's going to be very interesting to see if Josh Jackson is out, how I will approach this game, as it's the lowest total on the slate with the widest spread. Although, Utah, 116.25, the highest implied team total. So let's just break down some of these things, and we'll go game by game. So Philadelphia and Orlando to start, 102.09. They're right around the league pace, or the league average in terms of pace. 2.5-point spread. Philly has a 111.75 team implied total. Orlando, 109.25. Orlando battling for that last playoff spot. They are the 9 seed, battling, trying to catch Miami as well as Brooklyn. So Philadelphia, in terms of their matchups, Ben Simmons has a decent matchup today, but overall, his individual matchup against DJ Augustine and the point guard position, the guards on this team is the way that you want to just attack Orlando. Once you get down low, you'll see. Look at all those reds. It's tough to score against the likes of Vucevic, although Joe Val made him look like a little kid the other day. But Joe Val is another monster. You have Aaron Gordon, Jonathan Isaac down there. So, look, I'm based on the centers on this slate, and I mentioned earlier how the centers are going to decide this slate, and we'll get into that. I'm not really interested in a guy like Joel Embiid today, which is crazy because he's 10-4, his price has come down, and if he's going to be getting that attention, which I'll expect, not much attention from the entire industry, then maybe I pivot a little bit and I catch Joel Embiid on a below 5% ownership night or below 8% ownership night, right? Philadelphia side, I'm not getting much to. It's as simple as that. Jimmy Butler draws some interest. No JJ Redick, no Tobias Harris. And really at his price point for what else I can get, I'm not really interested in Ben Simmons tonight. If I had to rank my priorities from this team early on in the day, it'd probably be Ben Simmons, Jimmy Butler, Joel Embiid, Tobias Harris, JJ Redick. Like, that's how it is. I'm just not really interested. Haven't built a lineup, though, yet, so I don't know how pieces slide in. Ben Simmons would be my most interesting one, though. Orlando side of the ball. Vooch is $9,200. I repeat, Vooch is $9,200. They're battling for a playoff spot. He will be in this lineup for 34 to 35 minutes because of that. Look, he's going up against Joel Embiid. This is no walk in the park for Vooch. He's been having some really tough matchups as of late. I mentioned Joe Val earlier. But at $9,200, you can get a lot from Vooch in what should be a competitive game. And again, he's going to be playing those high upper minutes. I also like Aaron Gordon in this one. Look, I don't like the price. I believe he's still $7K. I don't like that price point, and I believe we can get better from it. But if we're just looking at this game in a vacuum, Aaron Gordon's nice. If we're looking at it in terms of the whole slate, which is how you should look at it, I've sort of just kind of fade this whole game. Like I said, Simmons and Vooch are the guys that I have interest in. Vooch at $9,200 is my most interesting piece from this game, but I'm not super enticed by the spot for either team. OKC and Memphis, we talked about this huge pace up spot for Memphis. Look, they're a 98.8 pace on the year. They're playing in a game that now will have 101.79, over 3 extra possessions in this game for Memphis. That's pretty big. We already talked about how Avery Bradley continues to be out. Big bump for DeLon Wright, big bump for Tyler Dorsey, bigger bump for Wright. We already talked about how Joakim Noah is doubtful. Jonas Valanciunas, another big bump at a decent price for him, or a very nice price, a favorable price if we know he's going to get 30-plus minutes. OKC side of the ball, you know what to do. Do you want to pay up for 10-9 Westbrook? I believe he's still underpriced on this site. Do you want to pay up a little bit for Paul George? I think that Westbrook is my favorite option on the Memphis side of the ball. Going up against Mike Conley is not a walk in the park, but he's pretty much matchup proof. On the other side, there's a lot to talk about. And this Memphis team has been interesting for the past 3 games since these injuries have occurred. Mike Conley's price hasn't changed. He's $7,500. I have him projected for north of 40 points. That projection might be a little high early, and there's your little teaser or your little free sample of these projections. I think I have him projected for 42 points today. They're getting 3 extra possessions. They're getting a huge pace up spot, 219.5 implied total for this game. I'm fine with that. I usually like to target games around 220 or higher, but I won't ignore anything below it. Mike Conley, too good of a spot in terms of pace, too good of a spot in terms of his price point. I like Conley here. I like DeLon Wright here for the exact same reason. He's cheap still. There's not a lot of mid-range value, at least, or lower mid-range value that I'm seeing right now. And his matchup today, whether he's going to be going up against Ferguson or Schroeder, is nice. You can see the second best matchup on the slate at the shooting guard position, 43.06. And then perhaps, and now we're getting into where all these centers lie, Joe Val is going with no Noah today. I have him projected for 33 minutes, but I want to do 34, but I feel safer at 33. Not on a back-to-back, even though he played fine on a back-to-back the other night. He's going up against Steven Adams, which is not a walk in the park, but he dominated Vooch the other day, so I have no worries about any type of matchup for Joe Val today, and the pace-up spot here is huge for him. I love Joe Val today. It's as simple as that. He's one of the 4 centers that I want to get into my lineups. I wish I had more center spots. If you know the cheat code to get me more center spots, please send it in the Discord or on Twitter. So that's where I'm going. OKC side of the ball, it's really just Westbrook for me. Maybe I'll see if I could fit a Paul George in. Memphis side of the ball, I like Wright, I like Conley, I like Joe Val. If you ask me to rank them, it's going to be Joe Val, Conley, and then Wright. Tyler Dorsey is fine. I think he plays another 26 minutes. At his price point, it's fine, but I think you have better options down there. Phoenix and Utah. The Phoenix side of the ball, I don't know how this one stays close. Look, I don't like to project blowouts. The other night when Luka was playing Golden State, I could see that one staying close. I even said it. I didn't like Durant, not because I thought it was going to be a blowout, but just I didn't think that the spot was there. I thought people were looking at too small of samples with Curry off and Cousins on. We don't really have much of that data. But they still had Luka Doncic. They still had Dwight Powell. They still had some of their starters out there playing. And sure, Phoenix still has Devin Booker, but he's not Luka. And I think that might be bold to say that I'd rather have Luka than Devin Booker, but I think Luka does a lot more for their team. And just looking at this spot, if Josh Jackson is out, this team is depleted. Troy Daniels and Dragon Bender are going to be playing upwards of 30 minutes with Eli Okabu playing on maybe around 20. Jimmer Fredette is on this team. This team is depleted. 15-point spread, it's scary. 101.25 in implied team total, lowest by far on the slate by a lot, by like 6 points. Look, I really don't want Devin Booker here against Utah. I don't want any of these Phoenix guys. It's as simple as that. I think there's better spots to target. If you really want to get to DeAndre Ayton, you can, but I don't think it's great against Rudy Gobert. They give up fantasy points to centers, but I just don't want to touch that. Phoenix right here just isn't attractive to me. You could find some value here if you want to take a risk on an Eli Okabu, a Troy Daniels, a Dragon Bender. I'm fine with that if that's where you want to find your value, and they're going to play around 30 minutes. But just know they're playing Utah, one of the best defensive teams in the league, and it's not a favorable matchup at all. Now on the Utah side of the ball, we said highest implied team total at 116.25. But will all these guys get the run? They usually stay in blowouts, so that's nice. I think Ricky Rubio's in play today. I think Joe Ingles is in play today. I think Derek Favors and Jae Crowder, especially Crowder at a very cheap point now, I think 4,600, are in play. And I think Rudy Gobert is one of those other top 4 centers on the slate. There's 4 centers today that I'm going to have to choose from. We already mentioned Joe Val. And one of them is not Embiid, which is crazy. We already mentioned Joe Val. We already mentioned, or now mentioning Rudy Gobert against Phoenix. One of the, if not pretty much virtually the best matchup on the slate against Phoenix, attacking their bigs being Dragon Bender today, and DeAndre Ayton, which is really no match for Rudy Gobert, who maybe just had his best game of the entire year. I think Derek Favors at his price point is also fine, should see around 25, 26 minutes today. Ricky Rubio's minutes are beginning to stabilize a little bit more, although his team has been blowing out every other team, which is maybe on the docket today, but he should see 28 minutes if this game stays competitive. He was playing in blowout run the other night as well. So Utah, for me, it's going to be going, if I had to rank them here, it would be Gobert. It would be Gobert, Rubio, Favors, Crowder, Ingles. Early on. Last game on the slate, Brooklyn versus Portland. And I'm actually looking forward to this one. 6-point spread. Brooklyn needs to win. They're in the playoffs by 2.5 games, but they need to win because there's Orlando behind them and there is Charlotte behind them. But not even that. My cousin is a Nets fan and I like following them. If you look at the Nets schedule for the remainder of the year, they play the Bucks twice. They play Boston. They play Philly. They play, I think, the Pacers, Miami. Every team that they play is a playoff team and is a very good team. They need to win like 3 games. So I'd say it's Portland tonight is one of those games that they can win, and that if they really want to make the playoffs and not rely on other teams losing, it's a game that they should bring it for. So I like weighing that. I think that bumps D'Angelo Russell's minutes a little bit. I have him at 33 minutes today. He could even see 34 as this playoff push begins. He has the best matchup, and he is really the only guy on the Brooklyn side that I'm interested in. His price now is, though, up to around 8,600. So I tend to lean maybe other places, but again, I haven't built lineups yet. I know that Mike Conley will be in that range for $1,000 less or $1,100 less. I'd rather have that. But I don't know yet if I would rather have a Devin Booker or a Ben Simmons over D'Angelo Russell tonight. I have to just look at lineup construction and research a little bit more. Outside of that, the Brooklyn side of the ball, I don't want anything. I don't know where Jared Allen's minutes are going to be today, and I don't like the matchup for Jared Allen. I don't know where DeMarre Carroll, Karis LeVert, I don't know where any of their minutes are going to be. Spencer Dinwiddie, not really any interest for me as well. So it's really D'Angelo Russell here. On the flip side, lots of interest in Lillard, whose price has now corrected itself down to 9,900, which I think is probably too cheap. I think I have him projected for 53 fantasy points today. He's going to have no CJ McCollum in a game that has a favorable pace, a little bit over the league average. It is a pace-up spot for Portland by about 1 possession in this game. I do like Lillard today. I think it's a decent spot. And then I think you can get the value in Seth Curry, who right now, Seth Curry and Mo Williams or Mo Harkless will probably be the 2 value plays or the chalkier guys to start the day. Seth Curry at 3,800, playing high 20s, low 30s minutes. Mo Harkless continuing to play high 20 minutes. He's only $4,200. I think that these are the guys who get the early chalk ownership. And then perhaps my favorite play on the slate, we're looking at Joe Val. My mind is just all over Joe Val. So maybe he is my favorite play. So maybe we'll go second favorite. Jusuf Nurkic, $6,900 Going up against Brooklyn, the nosebleed to centers all year long. He's only $6,900. He's destroyed this team earlier in the year. I don't know how you get away from Nurkic here. Too cheap. If he was $7,500, I'd still have interest. He's $6,900. Have him projected for 40 fantasy points today. That just makes the value incredible. I like Nurkic today a whole lot. I like Joe Val today a whole lot. I like Rudy Gobert today a whole lot. And then Vooch is rounding out that top four due to his price at only $9,200 and how many minutes he'll play. I could put Joel Embiid right behind that at fifth. I think Joel Embiid will be more of a contrarian play today because you can get to Joe Val, and a lot of people are going to know that. You can get to easily get to Nurkic at $6,900. And then if you're playing one of those two guys, and maybe even $8,000 very cheap Rudy Gobert, if you're playing one of those two guys, you're automatically, you filled up both your center spots, center and utility. It stinks that you can't have more, that none of them are power forward eligible. Quickly go to my early interest, which I've touched on every single one of them. I should have since it's only a 4-game slate. Damian Lillard, 1.55 fantasy points per minute without CJ McCollum. I love him today below 10K. I think that this price is fine, and it being the hammer game and the highest total on the slate makes me even more excited. His teammate Yusuf Nurkic, maybe if not my favorite, my second favorite play. He's right there with the guy below him, Jonas Valanciunas. They both have Yusuf Nurkic has a dream matchup today, and he's way too cheap at $6,900. Joe Val should see 30-plus minutes. Have him for 33. 34 is very much in the cards. At the very least, 32 without a Joakim Noah today. $7,100. The price isn't high enough for with this faster pace, big pace-up spot for Memphis. Vooch, only $9,200. So these are the four centers right here in a row. Vooch and then Gobert. Both of them are too cheap. Vooch has a tougher matchup. Gobert, the blowout risk scares me, so I have to see where I will lean early on. But again, if that game stays competitive and Utah gets blowout run, usually $8,000 for Gobert against Phoenix is way too cheap. Conley, another guy. So all these pricings on DK are just ridiculous. I think it's so loose today. Mike Conley, $7,500, pace-up spot today against Westbrook. I like him. He's too cheap. There's not much more to say. I think that point guard eligible is fine. I think that I could find some shooting guard eligible guys, maybe a D'Angelo Russell, whoever it might be. I think Conley's in a great spot today. DeLon Wright, there's a shooting guard eligible. $5,300, price not really coming up. Continues to play low to mid-30s in minutes. Continues to be pretty productive, even alongside Conley. More guys for Utah. Jae Crowder, $4,600. He's a little bit too cheap now. Maybe I won't get there today, but he is too cheap at $4,600. Rubio, $5,400. If he's going to play 28 minutes, he's too cheap. The minutes have been on the rise. If the game stays close, I like Rubio. In terms of some value, we have Mo Harkless at $4,200, along with his teammate below him at $3,800 and Seth Curry. Both these guys are seeing upper 20s, if not sometimes touching the 30s, especially Curry, in minutes. They're getting a lot more usage with CJ McCollum out, specifically Seth Curry at only $3,800. Derek Favors, $5,200. Interesting. Josh Jackson, $5,200 or $5,500 favors. Josh Jackson, $5,200. If he's in, he's interesting to me, but the matchup is just dreadful here. The price point, I think that we can go to a Mo Harkless, we can go to a Jae Crowder and feel a little bit better. So it's interesting just to see if he's in because he changes a lot in this on his team at least. But $5,200 is definitely interesting. Dragon Bender, $3,500 if you're really looking for value. He's played 30-plus minutes in 3 out of the last 4 games. If Josh Jackson is back today, you can bet your bottom dollar that he plays another 30-plus minutes. Even if he's not, you can bet pretty much on maybe around 26, closer to 30. This game does have a higher pace than most. It has 103, higher than the league average in pace. The price at $3,500, though, does scare me because he hasn't been any productive at all. But if you're just looking for a guy to slide in there and you're saying, I'd rather take a guy getting minutes than not getting minutes, Dragon Bender is getting the minutes. I really wouldn't recommend him, though. That is it. This was a nice 4-game slate. I'm excited about it because we have these four center decisions, 5 if you're going to be counting a guy like Joel Embiid, which you probably should. But these center decisions are going to decide the slate, and you can only play 2. So which ones are you going to get exposure to? Let me know down below which ones you're interested in. Let me know down below who will be the best point per dollar center. I appreciate it. Before you leave, hit me with that thumbs up and hit the notification bell. If you like what I do here and you want to support me, there's a link down below to Patreon and you can get the projections, or you could also donate down below there. Also, make sure to hit up the Discord today. Down below, there's a link to the league today, and you can see that league right here. The league is just free. So if you win the league, you can play me head-to-head. And then if you beat me, you can get free projections. How does that sound? And then quickly, I'll just go over to my Twitter because I posted my streaming schedule. I will be live tonight at 6, probably up until lock. Maybe only for a half hour, but probably up until lock. Live tonight. Streaming schedule is back. I'll be live about 4 times this week before lock. So appreciate it, guys. My name's Sal. You already know that. Peace.